Okay, friends, the way we're going to break these videos up, I'll cover 3 questions and then stop and restart the video. That way we'll have nice, neat little sections and it will all go pretty smoothly. Remember, please keep track of your mistakes on the fact patterns, and I'm going to be collecting your corrected answer sheets. Does not matter how many you get wrong, but I'll be impressed if you have a very high score. Either way, you get the same pass in this class when it's all over. Okay, question 1. Let's use the techniques that I'm suggesting. Let's look at the call of the question first. If the farmer files an action against the company for trespass, which of the following facts, if proved, would be most helpful to the company in avoiding liability? Okay, we haven't even read the facts. We don't know. We don't care. We know we're dealing with defense to trespass. All right? Look at pick 1. The farmer bought and operated his farm knowing that the company used the adjoining property for testing its rocket engines. Well, would that be a defense to trespass? It's really a coming to the nuisance defense. So I don't have to read the fact pattern to know this is not going to be the best answer because it's from a different area of law than the one we're being asked about. Okay, pick 2. Neither the company nor anyone in its employ set foot upon the farmer's land. Okay, well, that's at least a viable pick. At least that's a defense to trespass. Maybe that one's right. Question C. The company had no reason to anticipate that the tests would cause any of the results that occurred. Okay, that's a little more elaborate than B. That might also be correct. Probably we're going to have to read the facts to know for sure, but we can't eliminate C just based on looking at the call of the question. And then pick D. The rocket testing program is essential to national security so that the company's conduct was completely privileged as a public necessity. Okay, that reads like nonsense to me. Did we ever study a national security absolute privilege to intentional torts? Okay, well, maybe this one is possibly viable, but I'm pretty much prepared to knock this one out too. And to say we've got really, it's a pick between B and C, and now let's read the fact pattern and really get a look at it. Now, when we look at the fact pattern, we see that we've got a missile company is developing engines. If we think about that, if we read this paragraph first, we're going to be thinking about strict liability. We're going to be thinking, okay, these guys are blasting. There's no way they can be careful, blah, 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 blah. All right. And then we see that the actual nature of the trespass is alleged at the bottom of the big fat paragraph, where particles of debris from the rocket fall onto the adjoining farm. Okay, that's a physical trespass, right? There's an invasion of the plaintiff's property. Now we look at the picks again. We're talking about trespass. Well, A is not viable because it's dealing with it coming to the nuisance defense. D is kind of nonsense, so we sort of eliminate that one. B and C are the real picks. And look at B. Well, you can commit trespass without setting foot on the land, and that's what happened. Therefore, finally, C is the correct answer. C is correct because if the company had no reason to know that the test would cause a trespass, they could not form the intent to invade the plaintiff's land. And that's why that's the best defense. Now, we could probably put together half a dozen very narrow, straight questions about trespass that would quiz this knowledge. But instead, we've got this rather clumsy fact pattern where it looks like strict liability or negligence, but they end up testing intentional torts and focusing our attention on defenses rather than on the theory of liability. Okay, so pick C is the best one for number 1. Now, when you read the published explanation that I will publish from Barbary, you'll see it's not identical to what I just said. I'm not reading it. Obviously, I've read it. I know what it says more or less. But what I want you to do after class is look at that explanation. And if you need to refresh what I said, you can watch it, but probably you will need to. What I want you to understand is not only why pick C is correct, but why the others are wrong. And if you didn't get it right, I want you to understand why you didn't get it right. It'll be either a legal error or a reading error. And if you can come up with a third category of error, I would like to know about it. Okay, did you have a question?
Yes.
Right. But the action is for trespass, not for nuisance. So the reason why A is wrong is because it isn't a defense to trespass. It's a defense to nuisance. Yes. Very similar. Yes. Okay, so that is an example of how they want you to get it wrong. They don't want you to get it right. They want to trick you. You take as much time as you want. Yes. Absolutely. That's why the first thing out of my mouth is read that first. Yes. For the essays, the questions are more important too. Because remember what I said about the essays. Read the call of the question first and try to outline it if you can before you even read the fact pattern. Now the reason for doing that is because intellectually it helps you impose order on the material based on your understanding of the subject. And one of my goals here in this class is to help all of you understand how there is a great similarity of language between the essays and the multi-states, and also between both of those and some of the black letter law that you read in all three classes that we're going to review this summer. The language is similar, but the skills that they're trying to get are different. In class, what we're trying to do is intellectually understand the reasoning of the courts in each individual case, look at the in torts, we look at the restatement and contracts too, and see how the scholars have interpreted different issues with a desire to understand how it works and to appreciate how different jurisdictions could have different variations on various issues. All right? That's the purpose of class. The purpose of this class is to understand how the material is tested and to sharpen and refine your reading skills more than anything else. You'll sharpen your writing skills too. But the good news is there's a finite number of tricks they can play. And as you learn to read more closely for this skill, your knowledge of how this language is being used and your knowledge of the law will sharpen. So you can, I think already, we've looked at one question out of hundreds we're going to look at this summer. Already I think you can see what a language game is going on here and how you kind of have to know a lot of law going in to be able to play that language game. So as you get questions wrong based on black letter law knowledge, that's material to study again. To the extent you're making reading errors, you don't need to go review that material. You basically know it. All right? Any follow-up on that? No. Very good. You always get a chance to ask follow-up questions, and I've been teaching this stuff 25 years. I know this material. I don't have to prepare it each week like I did for torts to make sure I'm on the same page. I know this. And you can too. This is practical, and it's useful. And the way to think about it is a linear, organized, rigorous way, similar to IRAC, nothing revolutionary or different here. It's just a different set of skills. So look at question 2, and again, go straight to the call of the question. If the rancher brings a negligence action against the oil company, which of the following would be most helpful to the oil company in avoiding liability? Okay, the fact pattern isn't relevant to us yet. We're trying to understand what they're asking us. We're being asked about defenses to negligence. Okay, so this is one of the questions that makes up 50% of the questions on torts on the multi-state. All right, so defenses to negligence. Pick A. The subsurface earth structures that collapsed as a result of the tests were unstable before the tests took place. Well, knowing about the weakness of the plaintiff's property is not really a defense to negligence. It's proof of negligence, I think. Pick B. The rancher's property is located at such a far distance from the test site that no risk to the rancher was foreseeable. Okay, that's a great answer. because if the harm isn't foreseeable, there's no possible negligence liability. Okay, we like that one. Pick C. The oil company exercised due care in selecting the personnel who chose the test site and conducted the tests. Well, that's not a very good pick either, because they didn't actually do the test, did they? So this isn't saying the company acted with reasonable care altogether, just in that narrow aspect. And then finally, D. The company built its test site and conducted the tests in conformity with safety procedures and standards used by all other companies engaged in similar tests. Okay, that's a potential defense to negligence, but it's not nearly as good as pick B. Yeah. Okay, so we're able to make a very educated guess about pick B before we even read the fact pattern. And my strong advice to you is do that. Do that always. And then let's go up and look at the fact pattern and see if there's anything in there to cause us to reevaluate. This is how we save time. Also, I can't help but give you a quick anecdote. When I worked for Barbary Bar Review, I went to a couple of the debriefing sessions where they're going over actual questions, and this is how the people that run PMBR do it. They are doing exactly this process. Then they look at the facts. Okay, so basically this is a question about something similar to fracking, except they're using concentrated sound instead of water pressure to do it. They're doing tests in a sparsely populated area, heavy vibrations. Again, you think about strict liability, very likely, or negligence. And then collapse of a water well on a rancher's property. This isn't so different from those ancient cases in England from 300 years ago about dikes collapsing as they were causing problem to people's basements. Then we get the call of the question. There's nothing in that fact pattern to steer us away from B. Our knowledge of the law is good enough for us to pick B without even really looking at the fact pattern. Okay, so let's move on and have a look at question 3. I'm sorry, it rhymes at least. We'll do exactly the same thing that we're going to do for every one of the hundreds of questions that we're going to review this summer. Question 3, look at the call of the question. If the owner sues the girlfriend on a negligence theory for damage to the car, who will prevail? Okay, we kind of need to know more facts, but what the hell? Let's just have a look. Pick A. The owner, because the girlfriend exceeded her authority when she went to the bookstore. Well, we kind of wince at that because that's more like a vicarious liability from employment situation. This isn't a boyfriend-girlfriend deal. 2, or B. The owner, because but for the girlfriend's delay in getting the pizza, the owner's car would not have been damaged. Okay, well, that's at least logical, not obviously stupid. Pick C, the girlfriend, because she did not create a foreseeable risk of damage to the owner's car. Okay, also reasonable, a possibly correct pick. And then D, the girlfriend, because the family car doctrine imputes any of the girlfriend's negligence to the owner. Not exactly coherent, not totally out of the question, but probably not very good. Okay, let's go to the top and look at the facts of this one. A car owner lent her automobile to her girlfriend for the specific purpose of picking up a pizza that the owner and the girlfriend had ordered for dinner. Girlfriend drove to the shopping mall where the pizzeria was located, parked the owner's car there. Instead of going directly to the pizzeria, she went to a bookstore, browsed, bought a book. Okay, is that a violation of any standard of care? No. She just goes on a little extra errand. It is not an employment case, so this is not exactly a frolic and detour. Now, technically, the two girlfriends are engaged in a kind of a joint venture. But look at what happens next. Girlfriend gets the pizza, 15 minutes late. Girlfriend leaves the store to go to the car. Another car strikes the parked car. Okay, so the girlfriend did nothing wrong. Nothing at all. She's not liable for negligence. So we know she wins. But let's look at the picks again anyway. Pick 1, the owner because the girlfriend exceeded her authority. Okay, that's nonsense, because it's not a vicarious liability employment question. B, the owner because but for the girlfriend's delay. Okay, that delay is not a breach of a duty. It's not foreseeable. that would cause harm. C, the girlfriend, because she did not create a foreseeable risk of damage to the owner's car. That's the right answer. That's obviously the correct pick now, because we look at the girlfriend and we say, okay, she's being sued for negligence. What did she do that's careless? Answer, nothing. She didn't do anything careless. And then look at D, the girlfriend, because the family car doctrine imputes any of the girlfriend's negligence to the owner. But the thing is, the girlfriend didn't do anything negligent. And that's why pick D is basically nonsense. Because, to be specific, pick D mischaracterizes the facts. It suggests the girlfriend was negligent, but we know she wasn't. So, once again, we've got an example where close reading helps us eliminate picks, and with the benefit of that intellectual work behind us, a closer reading of the question makes it comparatively easy for the correct answer to jump off the page, even if you didn't see it when you first looked at it. All right, I'll stop this video and resume with the next 3 questions.